This video is my plea to the British Museum here in London to return the artifacts, the treasures from Egypt that were taken during British colonial occupation of Egypt in the 19th century back to Egypt. Now, this has been a controversial, very controversial point, and I've heard people, liberal people, Guardian readers say to me, well, you know, at least they're safe in the British Museum in London. You know, it's state-of-the-art technology, everything is stable, and, you know, they're preserved there with experts. And it's a bit risky to send them back to Egypt, is it not? I mean, where would they go in Egypt anyway? Now, this is patronizing and frankly racist and a kind of neo-colonial attitude. But even on their terms, these kind of liberal or not so liberal people, there's an answer to this now. In Egypt is opening as we speak a fantastic new building called the Grand Egyptian Museum. And I want to show you a little clip from France 24 in English of this extraordinary billion-dollar marvel. It's state-of-the-art. It's the largest museum on the planet. It's twice the size of the British Museum, twice the size of the Louvre, 5 times larger than the Metropolitan Museum in New York. And it looks absolutely amazing. I can't wait to go, God willing. And this really answers this kind of slightly fake claim that the Egyptians can't look after their own antiquities. Now, when I've shown you this video, I'm going to go through some of the actual reasons why, solid reasons why the Egyptians should have their own Egyptian artifacts back. It's an important point. So I'm going to just share this clip with you from the English language version of France 24.
This isn't just a museum. It's a celebration and reclamation of Egypt's history and culture. The pyramids that adorn the walls are a link between the past and the present. This is ancient Egypt brought back to life.
It's pretty vast.
Just inside the entrance, you're greeted by this. One of the museum's showstoppers, a statue of the mighty pharaoh Ramses II. 30 feet tall, weighing more than 80 tons. It's 3,200 years old. Dr. Hanim, hello.
Pleasure meeting you.
What a welcome we get when we arrive here in the museum.
Now, this is an absolutely extraordinary video. I'll put a link to it in the description below, but it makes clear that this is a state-of-the-art billion-dollar marvel. There's nothing quite like it on Earth. And it is time, if it was always time, but it's even more time now for Britain and other Western museums. There are museums in Berlin and others that have priceless Egyptian artifacts. They've always said, well, we're conserving them. You know, we're being generous. We have no selfish motivation. We're not keeping them because they're marvels. Oh, no. It's because we're doing it in a disinterested way, which I frankly find disingenuous. But that argument now is destroyed. I'll show you a bit more of this video, and then we'll go through some of the actual arguments why the British Museum, particularly as I'm British, and this is a museum down the road from where I'm sitting, we should return artifacts to their rightful owners.
Why did you choose to put this as a centerpiece?
Well, it's very dear to all Egyptians, and it's a symbol of power. It's a symbol of great art, and it's very unique. It was the first piece to be transferred to GEM, and it's more than 80 tons, which was a challenge in bringing it here. The whole thing, the whole ceiling was put after this piece was put. This king ruled Egypt for more than 66 years, and his era was very, very special in terms of prosperity and power, and that's why it's a nice welcome to all GEM visitors.
The world has been waiting a long time for this museum.
Yeah, it has been waiting a long time. It's over 20 years we've been waiting for this museum. There have been financial problems, apparently. There have been the odd revolution, the odd war, and also the challenge, they say in the video, of actually bringing these incredible sculptures and artifacts into one building in this incredible new structure. So it's actually an incredible achievement, actually. So kudos and credit to the Egyptians for pulling it off. Obviously, they built the pyramids in the first place. So, and you actually see the pyramids from within the museum. There's a special area, a massive window, which leads directly onto the pyramids, a couple of kilometers away, constructed to give you the best view possible of the pyramids in Cairo. So what are some of the reasons why the British Museum should return Egyptian artifacts? A lot of reasons, really. It's to do with that cultural ownership and identity. Things like the Rosetta Stone in the British Museum and mummies from the royal tombs. These are integral to Egypt's history and their identity, really. They embody Egypt's ancient civilization, one of the great civilizations in the world. And surely they should be preserved within its own cultural context, not as trophies of colonial acquisition, which is what they are in the British Library, the British Museum, rather. So that's one of the reasons. And this whole point about colonial acquisition, most of these objects were taken during the 19th century under British colonial domination. Now, before that, of course, the French were there. They have their own issues. And whatever treaties, they were very unequal, and permits very ambiguous. You know, even if they were technically legal in the 19th century, these arrangements very much reflect a power imbalance. And I think returning them to their rightful owners would acknowledge and redress this historical injustice. As I've already mentioned, you know, these artifacts don't really have their full meaning when they're displayed in a very cold, wet environment of Northwest Europe, to be honest, far from their archaeological and original cultural setting. If they're back in Egypt, they can be exhibited alongside other archaeological finds from the same sites. And this allows for a more perhaps coherent understanding of their purpose and significance and so on. But Egypt now, as I've said, as we've seen, has a world-class facility, the Grand Egyptian Museum near the pyramids, and it's specifically designed to preserve and display these artifacts under the very best, under the optimal scientific conditions. Now, this counters the old argument, which you hear, as I said before, even in liberal circles, about, oh, well, Egypt can't care for them and all that. Yeah, right. Well, that argument has now been met and refuted. So what is the argument now? And also that there's, you know, from Egypt's point of view, this would strengthen Egypt's tourism industry, a vital part of its economy. And I'm pretty sure that many, many millions of visitors from around the world will want to go to this largest museum on the planet. It's the biggest one in the world. And also, perhaps a little bit, not cheekily, but I think importantly, if the British Museum was to pull its finger out and recognize what it should do, returning the Egyptian artifacts would surely set a powerful precedent for other museums around the world. I mentioned the ones in Berlin, some beautiful artifacts in there that they have taken from Egypt. And this would help to build, also, it would encourage a growing global consensus that restitution is an act of justice, not just of loss. And also, perhaps last of all, it would help improve and enhance UK-Egypt relations and, you know, French-Egyptian and German-Egyptian relations, showing goodwill and respect for Egypt's history. And I think this would undo, to some extent, the colonial legacy that lingers on in this building down the road in the British Museum, which houses all these objects taken during the colonial period when Britain occupied and controlled this country. By the way, no one invited them in, by the way. They just took it because they had the physical power at that time to do so. So I think it would redress this injustice and go some way to provide restitution to the Egyptians for their loss of their history, their culture to some extent. So I think it's a very exciting development. This is why I'm asking, you know, crying out, British Museum, reconsider, think again, do the decent thing. This is the 21st century. We're not in the 19th century. So come on, get your act together, return the Egyptian artifacts to what is now one of the world's great museums. As I say, it's twice the size of the British Museum, not the size of everything, but it's twice the size of the Louvre and 5 times the size of the Metropolitan Museum in New York, the equivalent there. So it truly is colossal. And if you watch the video I've linked to below, you'll see many of the technological and environmental features of this extraordinary new museum in Cairo that really make it a very worthy inclusion in anyone's bucket list to-do list to visit the Grand Egyptian Museum overlooking the pyramids. So that's my plea to the British Museum. I might send it to them and see what they say. What do you think? Please leave your thoughts in the description below.